thing. So we stand in front of Dollar Tree and basically
such as this thing here.
All right, I'm excited to have a guest.
metal right here, of course, everyone is. Cuba is like they're under a dictator.
RTD Live Talk, Detroit's #1 late night YouTube talk show. We are live for the first Monday of the month of October. And boy, will it be an interesting month to say the least. Anyway, hope everyone is doing well. Welcome to the live stream. Definitely looking forward to finding out what you guys have been keeping an eye on. And before I dive into, I got about 8 or 9 different articles, give or take, all relevant to things I'm sure you all have been paying attention to. But I wanted to start off with some good news today. Just the silver price action was, even though it's premature, it's still early. But then again, it is exciting outside of all the other chaotic stuff happening, just because it's very comforting and reassuring to know that if you actually, possess and hold just at least one of these things, that can act as a hedge against all the systemic contagion that's unfolding within the monetary system. But curious to get your guys' thoughts on that, and we'll dive into that and a couple other subjects. But welcome. Yeah, I'm excited, man. It's a good Monday. It's going to be a great week. Lots of things is happening. Couldn't have it any other way, man. Anyway, let me know, any first-time viewers, let me know where you're watching from. Would love to acknowledge your presence and welcome you to the fold. And definitely looking forward to hearing from you guys directly when the phone lines open up, 313-462-0027. And we can definitely talk further. So, I see a lot of back and forth in the chat. Let me acknowledge a couple people. Then I'll do some maintenance on my side. Then I'll go through headlines, just skim through the surface. Don't want to bore you. But then I'm interested in actually being able to talk to you guys. So let me know. Also, before I move forward, let me know if the audio is good. I want to make sure everything is flowing smoothly. Would hate to have some unforeseen surprises due to the technical glitches that are sometimes occur. All right, so let me just jump right in. Okay, Crab says, don't think I'd consider this an exposure, but maybe it's finally starting to do something right. That's right. It's very premature, as I mentioned. Not much to gun ho with, but it's exciting to know that as things comes to a screeching halt, if you were wise and aware of what the true essence of money is, and if you possessed just a little something, you'll be better off than the overall majority. Just because 90+% people don't have many ounces of anything, nevertheless, any silver in their possession, or gold to say the least. But anyway, all right, we got Tim checking in. Appreciate you, man. What else we got? We got underfunded Klutz. How you doing, my friend? We got Roger Rose checking in. LBP is checking in as well. I'm sure he's excited. What else we got here? We got D and Den Z checking in as well from Yashaba. This guy changes his name every episode. We got Ed checking in as well. What else we got here? Let me just thumb through real quickly. Acknowledge a couple people. Creo, the Traveler, checking in. We got Nick Asso says Bitcoin is the future. Fair enough. Whatever works, whatever floats your boat. What else we got here? We have Nisara Jasara checking in. We have Patrick checking in. Manarawana checking in. All right, fair amount of people here, man. As always, appreciate you guys. Definitely, if you haven't already, hit that thumbs up button, and hopefully that helps the algorithms notify more people, because I would assume more people will love to plug in and just to, hear the rants, or worst case or best case scenario, interact in the community via the chats. But Judah says bought 20 ounces on Saturday, and the price goes up today. Love it. Yeah. And also, congratulations. Let me before I move forward, let me acknowledge the winner. Let me acknowledge the winner of the Get Your Weight Up contest that was concluded on Friday. And so for those who had a chance to participate, shout out to my man Steven, who won the giveaway. So it doesn't hurt to add an extra ounce to your stack. And so definitely appreciate everybody who did participate. Actually working on doing another one now, just to promote the importance of sound money. You can never add too much to your stack. So I want to definitely try to be a blessing to those who have blessed me throughout the years with their presence, as well as their donations and just support overall. So I think the rethinking the dollar concept is coming full steam now, where people really will be again questioning everything that they've been told, as they find out they've been lied to, as all these non-performing liabilities pile up. Okay, so all right, so let me just do some maintenance on my side, man. As always, let me just make sure everybody has just the basics. If you haven't, I hope it still works. Click that bell notification. Hopefully, you are notified. Hopefully, everybody here who's tuning in, you were notified, and hopefully that still works. So definitely hit that button. Or if you happen to stumble across this channel by accident, hit that subscribe button as well as the bell. Hopefully, you can join us more often. And also, make sure you connect with RTD on all these alternative social media platforms. The link is in the description. Best way to make sure you stay plugged in case we happen to be disconnected from this channel right here. And also, let me keep it going. What else I got here? What else I got here? All right. So let me just start off real quick. I shared a tweet. Yeah, it was yesterday, I think it was, just because there's a tweet that caught my attention after hearing and seeing so much of the uh, doom and gloom news for the most part over the weekend. And it was more so just highlighting the John Exter pyramid here. And I shared my 2 cents on top of it. So I'll just real briefly share with you for those who didn't see it in the Telegram as well as on Twitter. But for those who are aware of this particular pyramid here, this is what we're witnessing right now as the central bankers and governments have to deal with the consequences of their malfeasance in basically weaponizing the monetary system, all at the expense of benefiting a small few at the risk of destroying every single person's financial future. And it has to do with all these financialized products that have been created, all basically non-performing, as I call it, non-performing liabilities. Because if you can't get paid when you expect to get paid, did you really own anything anyway? So we got derivatives at the very top of all this, all 2+ quadrillion, and the interlinking amongst the globally systemic important banks, which is what we're witnessing right now with all the stuff happening in Europe. And it's all central banks' fault. All this is central banks and government's fault. They get the full credit and the full blame for all this contagion is happening right now. But anyway, the higher you are up as far as your exposure to these things at the top here, the more risk you take on, and the lower, of course, that you're into things that you can take possession of, preferably, the less risk you have. And at the very bottom of this is not on here, but silver is the ultimate form of an asset because it is money and it has zero counterparty risk if it's in your hands physically, just like gold, as well as a couple other precious metals as well. So while the whole world around you can go belly up, if you got a little something in your possession, that right there could serve you as some capital to get started again if things were rebooted into something else. Hands down, it's worked that way every single time. And so what I said when the gold window closed 51 years ago, the world thought fiat wealth could last forever. Higher interest rates and an over-indebted global economy guarantee the systemic collapse of all these financialized products. And then I said, as digital and paper liabilities cause chaos, people will seek sound money. Hashtag get your weight up. Hashtag silver squeeze. Hashtag silver is money. And so that's just a little something that I wanted to share yesterday without even knowing about today's activity in reference to the gold and silver markets. But one thing that did have me concerned heading into this week was the announcement on Friday of what was considered something that's not too odd, but then again, they happen every now and then. But right now, it just seemed like it would be mighty timely, and that happens to be today at 11:30. There was an FOMC meeting, somewhat like a out of the blue, extemporaneous type of meeting. But here's a little article I found this morning, just because no details of this closed door meeting came out. But once again, my suspicion is that if Europe is unraveling, the UK is having issues based upon activity from last week, and everything is predicated on the leading central bank, i.e. the Federal Reserve, either somehow need to address the world's issues because they're the head honchos in all this mess. Perhaps they were going to do something. And of course, the markets were extremely favorable today overall. The Dixie took a little bit of a dip. We had the NASDAQ, Dow, all the indexes on this side was up. And I'm thinking, like, with all that doom and gloom in the news about Credit Suisse going under and Deutsche Bank, and all of a sudden we got all these green candles, and then I see silver take off. I'm like, wow, like something seems kind of odd here. But then again, it could have been, a variety of things. So I'm curious to get your thoughts on that. But I wouldn't be surprised if the overall the global economy, they wouldn't be willing to sit around and just let all the negative activity in Europe and the UK, remove or alter the illusion that they are still able to control things here in the West. And so the markets are somehow, they're all artificially manipulated anyway. But given the fact there's no real outright good news going on right now, and to see all that green, the Dow ended 750 points up, because come on now, we all know that's fake, that's artificial. But anyway, I was expecting that as a result of this particular meeting, there will be some good results out of that. And of course there was. So not quite sure how or what, but it is what it is. Anyway, before I move forward, I have about 7 or 8 more articles that I want to just scan the headlines and then open up the phone lines. But before I do that, I want to definitely make sure I acknowledge my partners and Bullion Max, as well as 4 Patriots. So if you don't mind, stay right there. And hopefully you guys are taking advantage of these opportunities. But stick right there. Let me just give my people some shout out, and then we'll jump right into the articles.
Here's a great opportunity for you to get your weight up. Let's face it, our purchasing power and our currency has been destroyed in real time. That's why I'm excited to tell you about my partnership with Bullion Max. Bullion Max will ship gold and silver directly to your door for you to hold at your home or in your own safe. To help you get started, I worked out a special offer with them. Get Bullion Max Silver Starter Kit at employee pricing. Just go to bullionmax.com/RTD. This kit includes 5 of the most desirable silver products to invest in, including the American Silver Eagle and the Silver Australian Kangaroo. This offer is limited to 1 per household while supplies last, so get yours today and take advantage of this opportunity to get your weight up. Now, you can't just stop at getting your weight up. You also got to get your calories up, because definitely a food shortage is underway between droughts, flooding, and all the climate issues being thrown our way. America's food supply is near its breaking point. That's why survival food is more important than ever. Create your own stockpile of the best-selling 4 Patriot survival food kits. It's not ordinary food. We're talking about 25 years super survival food, hand-packed right in the family-owned facility in the USA. The kits are compact, sturdy, water-resistant. They have different delicious breakfasts, lunches, and dinners. Go to 4patriots.com/RTD to get your 3-month survival kit. You'll get their famous guarantee for an entire year after your order, plus 10 free gifts and free shipping. To take advantage of this opportunity, go to 4patriots.com/RTD to build your own stockpile today, because beyond the weight, you're going to need your calories as well. Links in the description.
All right, let's jump right into it. As always, if you haven't already, make sure you hit that thumbs up button. Show your support for the channel. I have, as I mentioned, 8 or 9, 10 different articles. So, of course, I'm not going to read them. I'll just give you guys a title, skim through it real quick. And if you guys are interested in diving any further, feel free to do so for yourself. But let's jump right in. Just some things, as I mentioned, that caught my attention today, of course. I'm sure things you're all familiar with, but maybe you have not come across them. So, as we know, gold and silver. Gold rallies as dollar yield retreat. Silver soars over 8%. And so this is very shocking, just because silver for the last, I think, couple of weeks for sure has outperformed gold, even though it's been, very small. But then again, when you look at the most undervalued monetary metal in human history, and knowing that it has been suppressed to extreme measures, just looking at the silver to gold ratio, when I today was looking at the markets and I saw the gold to silver ratio trending downward very sharply, I knew something was up. And then, of course, silver was doing its thing, and it almost reached a 10% increase today, which is very shocking. And so just to give you a little bit of a historical lesson as to how shocking it is, Mr. Tavi Costa, one of the former guests on RTD, gave a little glimpse as to how extreme the increase was in a day's time frame or intraday time frame. But here is a graph here. It says silver price, daily price changes by percentages. And so if you look throughout the last, about 15 or 16 years or so, we have interesting fact. He says last time silver went up as much as today was in November of 2008. So if you take that on back here, and we know exactly at what time frame and what was going on in the world when we had this last, extremely large spike in a daily price activity, and shortly thereafter, during that same time frame, the great financial crises happened. And then it says here that was the bottom, and silver went up 400% in the next 2.5 years. Ultimately referring to the price spike where it went up to, I think, it is all-time high in 2011-ish. And so are we in for something similar to that as far as repeating that same cycle with this astronomical price up? And of course, as I mentioned, it's premature, but it's just something that offers a lot of hope and promise for those who've been waiting patiently to see some real price action, knowing that silver, they had their foot on silver for the longest. All right, keep it moving. Here's something that is very concerning. This is out of the Wall Street Journal today, and it says the UN calls on the Fed, other central banks to halt interest rate increases. And so ultimately, the UN is getting in on the mix. We had the BIS not long ago saying that, the IMF forecasting that due to the combined interest rate hikes by all central banks is putting stress on emerging markets as well as all the overly indebted economies. And so here we got the UN out here making a plea as well. It says a UN agency warns the further policy tightening risk a global economic downturn. So ultimately, I see a lot of people utilizing the words Great Recession 2.0. And I'm thinking at this current moment, we are already in a global recession right now. Every indicator is pointing to that, depending on where you want to look at. But and so we're going past that point. And so we're looking at something like, the Greater Depression 2.0, in my opinion. But anyway, here, when you got the UN talking about time to slow down or pause or something like that, that lets us know that it's definitely we're at that tipping point, I believe, where something is going to break on top of all the other things happening in the banking sector. At the same time, the Pope told everybody to get, to make sure all the funds are back at the Vatican before October 1st. Yeah, what a coincidence, huh? Somebody knows something. Anyway, here, I'll spare you guys here, but if you want to read more for yourself, thought that was a great warning there. And then, of course, the primary subject matter is the so-called Lehman Brothers 2.0. So we got Credit Suisse shares pair loses after earlier plunging as much as 10%. So today we got the Credit Suisse, everybody and mothers talking about this. And of course, it's obvious that things are melting down just because I'm hearing some private stories behind the scenes as employees are talking about there's definitely some stuff happening behind the scenes that more people are being willing to speak out against just because people are trying to jump ship as the Credit Suisse Titanic is tanking. So anyway, more information here, but nothing new at all. Here's another headline. Credit Suisse is in deep trouble. And then once again, whenever the headline tell you that it's not something cataclysmic, that's when you know they're lying. It says contagion risk is low. Oh, really? Yeah, okay. One of the globally systemic important banks. Don't believe that one bit. Anyway, here is another little visual aid to show you. Now, for all my people out there, if you're a trader, would you buy this dip right here? You see the long-term trajectory. This is since the great financial crises of both Deutsche Bank and Credit Suisse. It's been trending downward, their share prices, for quite some time. Is this a good time to get in right now? Would you wait a little longer to get in? Of course, I'm just joking, but my assumption would be nobody would jump on this train as it's heading towards the dead end. But then again, if you were to short this, you would definitely probably do well. So this is just something I thought I would share. And of course, there's more out there. Here's another interesting visual aid here to show you the overall health, relatively speaking, of the globally systemic important banks. So here we got Credit Suisse. We got we got Deutsche Bank here. We got Goldman Sachs here. We got JP Morgan, and we got Bank of America. And within the last 6 months, I'm not sure if this is assets under management or I don't think this is their stock price, but whatever the measuring here that is being used, which could be assets under management, not sure. I'll just run with that one for now. But interesting visual aid just to show you the downward trajectory that all these globally systemic important banks are heading. And it has everything to do with just the indebted nature and the entanglement of all these counterparties that they're all on the hook for. And so their assets under management pales in comparison to their exposure to this crazy derivative mess, which stands on the very foundation of this monetary system, which is imploding. And of course, there's a couple more interesting visual aids here just to give you guys real quick. Upside down, said Deutsche Bank stock trades at a lower fraction of a forecast book value than Credit Suisse. So Deutsche Bank has always been, on the fence on top of the fact that Germany's having extreme inflation on top of all the bad metrics coming out of that country there. It's good to say. I think if the German government already privatized a gas company over there, it's good to say at some point Deutsche Bank might be next or else. So just something worthwhile there. What else we got here? I got a couple more headlines there. Here's something as well. California inflation relief payments worth up to was it 1,050 start going out this week. So for all my people in Cali, depending on what your economic situation is like, you might get a little middle class tax refund, and so another little stimmy check to drive up those gas prices out there, which I'm hearing are extremely high again. What else I got here? Okay, this is a somewhat interesting story. North Korea fired ballistic missile over Japan, officials say. Evacuation alert issued. And so lots of things are happening, and it's just Monday. It's just Monday on top of all the Russian-Ukraine situation, and you name it, it goes on and on and on. But let's open up the phone lines, man. Thought I would just skim the surface of some headlines, some things that caught my attention. Curious to see and hear what else you guys are keeping an eye on, just because tomorrow morning brings a whole new day of possible systemic risk if the Fed doesn't pause or pivot, either one. And so I think even with the UK, it looks like the pound is slightly recovered. But then again, they're not out of the mess there because they've started QE again. And we know that once you start it, you can't stop or something goes south. And therefore, what nation is next? It looks like the EU, along with their systemically important banks, will definitely be on the hook. So, but we'll see. Anyway, let's talk. Phone lines are open. Curious to hear what's on your radar or a highlight at Rethinking a Dollar. Any subject matter relevant to what's going on, definitely would love to get your thoughts on things. As I mentioned, this is a people's talk show, so we'll definitely love to hear from you guys. TB says, did the gold make it back to the Vatican? TB, I'm not sure if I'm jumping in on some conversation here, but I'm sure we won't hear much about anything to do with gold and the Vatican. And so all we are told about is all the currency products and things of that nature were supposed to be brought back. What else we got? Micah's crack, calories get your weight up. Yeah, man. Of course, I'm seeing food prices. I'm hearing empty shelves. And here's another little story here that I might as well just put it out there. So we got the oil price, the OPEC nations looking like they're about to try to shift the game up a little bit. So anyway, let's talk. Hello, Carlos. Where are we calling from?
Hey, Mike. It's Ed. How you doing, brother?
Hey, doing good, my friend. What's on your mind tonight?
Hey, what can't they rig, man? I've been hearing so much garbage over the years.
Yeah.
Oh, if they can't rig the bond market. Once it gets loose, nobody can rig the bond market. Who's buying bonds, 30-year bonds at 3%? You want some of that, Mike? You want to invest your money in that?
No, I'm fine, man. I'm good. I don't want no performing liabilities. I'm fine, man. I want something real and tangible.
3% for 30 years. There ain't nobody buying that. Ain't nobody in their right mind buying that. They can rig anything, Mike. They rig the price of silver. They rig the price of gold. Oh, wait, the GOMEX is going to, it's going to short out. They're not going to be able to control that. GOMEX is dying. Blah, blah, blah. The gold and silver is going to be what they say it is.
Mm-hmm.
That's all.
Hey, 100%.
Now that ain't the real price. It's a little bit more.
Right.
More.
Hey.
It's $9 more for an eagle. But they set the baseline, then we jack it around a little bit. But it's I bought silver at $30, $40, man. If I'd had my money in the stock market, I'd have been a millionaire.
until it's gone. But
until I could have took it out in December.
Oh yeah. And that's the thing, like
gold and I could carry.
It's cyclical in nature, but I think, and this is just me. I'm as I mentioned, this is very premature. Silver price, gold price, it's nothing to rave about. But then again, it gives people a little bit of an incentive to continue to stack. Hopefully, not lose heart, because I think whatever breaks this manipulation, or whatever form of fashion, it won't be within our own country directly. I think it'll be something to do with Moscow or China or India in the future at some point. Because once again, I got an article here where it talks about the BRICS are literally working as we speak on trying to come up with some type of joint currency. And I'd assume at the underpinning of that will be something to do with precious metals to really make that a valid international type of, move. So that's just my, thesis. But, I'm not in a rush, man.
Right.
I'm not in a rush at all.
Did you hear anything about India was closed down the banks or something to trying to get their digital up and running like now?
It's for Diwali.
What was it?
Apparently, it's for the little holiday, the 20-day holiday Diwali or something like that. But once again, it apparently happens every year at this time. So it just so happens that October, all this banking noise and stuff like that, people highlight that as if like, oh, is that the event? Is that something that are they trying to warn us? So, I mean, I think it's the banks. You can't go in, but you still can bank online and do the ATM stuff as well. So, but hey,
I'm ready to get the party started, man.
It's already started, man. Where you been? It's already started. So the question is like the party you're talking about is like, the event that is like the no point of no return. You know what I'm saying? Like the event that will end all events. Like I'm not, me, man. I'm not looking forward to that event because there's gonna be a lot of lives lost during that event, and I'm not looking forward to that personally because that event is going to be a problem.
God takes care of his children, so maybe it's just going to be the heathens that die. I don't know.
Yeah, man, but who knows? But hey, once again, man, it's good to hear from you. Appreciate you, my friend.
All right, I'm getting old, Mike. I'm gonna miss the party, man. I'm gonna keel over before they get this thing going. But anyway, love you, brother.
Hey, man, you're gonna be here for a while, my friend. Be of good cheer. Be good, my friend. Man. Appreciate you. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Mike, Tony from Oakland. How you doing, brother?
TB, doing good, my friend. What's your name tonight?
Oh, well, I don't like the fact that you say I'm a dollar bull.
Dollar bull. You bring up good, valid arguing points. That's all.
Right, and the arguing point for the dollar is that's all we have.
For sure,
we're dating Tina. Yeah, no alternative.
Yeah. And okay, I'm cool. And so my thing is, I don't have a dog in this fight per se, other than the fact that the whole point for me rethinking the dollar was to encourage people to know the difference between the stuff that go clink clack and the stuff that burns when the fire hits it. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just saying, hey, gold and silver definitely will be a great anchor of protection in the future. In the meantime, you need the Federal Reserve notes to spend, so get those too. But
when?
Those aren't good, huh?
Future. When in the future?
Oh, I mean,
how long are you willing to win in the future? How long has gold been at 1650? How long has How long?
It's been literally the last time gold, to my knowledge, of course, I'm only 10 years or so into this whole monetary literacy concept here, but the fact that gold right now is $1,700 and the Federal Reserve notes, it takes 1,700 or so pieces of paper with the premium on top to get that. And if you go back in history, it was 40 pieces of paper. So it's been 50 years for sure. But life
I'm like
goes
Ed.
on. Say again.
I'm like Ed.
Mm-hmm.
They've been manipulating this stuff for a long time. They say it's 1750, but if you do 52 years at $35, you get 1750, 1850. That's where gold should be.
Mm-hmm. So once again,
so
go ahead.
I mean, if you do the math is math. I
right.
mean, that's not my opinion, your opinion.
Right.
But and then the Bitcoiners now they talking like we was talking in the gold, and now everything's. But last week the reason why the market was so frothy is because they had a blackout period where nobody could buy their stocks back.
Yeah.
So now that they can buy their stocks back, of course the market's going to be up.
Yeah. Good point.
Well, this manipulation will go on until there's something, but right now there is nothing. And everything that China and Russia is doing, if that dollar continues to go higher, it's just going to crush everything that they're trying to do.
Right. And so I think they realize that as well. And I would assume, I don't know, I can't think for them, but I would imagine that whatever they're concocting to do, I'd assume that they wouldn't waste their time and energy and effort unless they knew it was something that they could try to pull off. Because they realize, we're in a reset scenario right now, whether it be artificial or genuine or whatever. And so ultimately they're trying to reset the whole system itself. So whatever they're working on, I believe it will definitely bring an alternative method to price discovery of real world assets, I think. Now, the dollar still will be utilized, of course. I mean, it's not going nowhere. It's been here for 200 plus years. It's not going nowhere. But will all the nations, predominantly the BRICS and the BRICS Plus and all those other nations actually produce real things? Will they say, we no longer take those instruments of destruction? We want this, or we'll do both. And in doing both, wouldn't that cause a little bit of a panic sale in dollars just because, who wants to be the last one actually holding all that in the future?
Russia tried that. What happened?
Right
2
now,
days later, they went back to their old currency. They tried it in gold.
Right.
I'm not accepting anything but gold right now.
Mm-hmm.
And 2 days later, they switched it around. Well, we changed our mind. Pay us in ruble.
Well, the ruble has actually been quite the strongest currency, strongest fiat of the year. And of course, it's strong because people are obviously using it to buy their oil, I would assume, because they accept that for oil now. So that's an alternative if you want to get oil on the cheap from Russia. So that's another method. It's small in nature.
Even with the oil prices, you have to get it in dollars because that's the reserve currency.
From Russia?
That's
you have to get oil from Russia in dollars. And they said pay us in rubles.
Article, man. Russia's still dealing in dollars.
Oh, no doubt.
I sent you that article. Posted it.
No doubt. But I'm just saying, like, the ruble strength signifies that somebody wants it. Somebody's using it for something. If not, they'd be dumping the damn things like everybody else.
They're using it, but everybody is switching over to the dollar once they get their currency swapped out.
Yeah.
Everybody. Because they get more for the bang for the buck. The dollar's high. They get more bang for the buck. It's only costing us.
Yeah. Well, hey, as long as the dollar supremacy lasts, I'm fine because that means gold and silver is still going to be relatively cheap, and that doesn't make me mad one bit. So,
while the dollar's high, the silver and gold price is going down. But we can't have it both ways. We can't say we want gold and silver to go up and the dollar go up,
right?
Because it's got to give. Because once the dollar goes, if we're around,
mm-hmm.
The silver is and gold is there for deflationary issues.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's what it is, a deflationary issue. And we're almost there. We're almost at that deflationary issue, and people just don't see it because they're looking for the price spike.
Yeah.
And that doesn't have, like you said, it doesn't happen like that. It's a gradual thing, and next thing you know, it's like, well, what happened to all my currency? It's like it's worth nothing, but everybody else's currency is trash.
Yeah. Hey, man, appreciate you as always, my friend.
Head up.
Be good.
All right, too. Bye.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, so I'm in the ball camp, and so persistence over resistance. Appreciate you, man. It says gold is a tier 1 asset. Discussion over. I think a lot of that Basel III situation that was done by the banks for the banks, pretty much put gold back in its rightful place as a tier 1 asset that banks are allowed to hold on their balance sheets as a form of collateral. So that lets me know that there is a use case for it still. And I think anywhere it go, we all know what the world is going to go back to or away from, just because everybody and their mama will realize the issues with the dollar as it stands. So nothing good lasts forever. Now, how it plays out, I don't know. I don't really care per se. I just want to make sure I'm on the right side of this trade and this all blows up. Hello, Carlos. Where are we calling from?
Hey, Mike. This is Dennis in Yashkuba, Mexico. How are you?
Doing good, my friend. What's your mind tonight?
Hey, I shared a video on the Telegram a couple times.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to make it easy for you to find.
Yeah.
It's regarding a researcher, a woman, and I want to be pretty careful explaining this because I don't want to get your show in trouble.
Right.
But the Department of Defense wrote the contracts to Big Pharma,
mm-hmm.
and they didn't manufacture. Big Pharma didn't manufacture these. Let's just say medicine.
Right.
It was done by the United States government.
Right. Yeah.
It's pretty clear. It's pretty clear in the statistics and the analyzation because the manufacturing process was so poor.
Mm-hmm.
That's why there's so many different types of adversities, I guess you could say.
Right. Also, Dr. What's his name? Dr. David E. Martin, in all his prior little lectures, he gave all the patent numbers showing how the Department of Justice, as well as a couple other entities, I think the CDC and everybody else, they all had patents on some form or another of the whole mRNA. So yeah, just the fact, yeah, it goes back early 2000s, I think is the earliest patent I saw that I think the CDC or somebody had. So lets us know they've been working on that for quite some time now. So yeah, the government's trying to kill us for sure. It's, I think everybody knows that by now.
I think this is probably the biggest story that's not being reported in the world.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's pretty clear that the United States government poisoned the well.
Yeah, I don't doubt it. And that's the thing, like, so that particular subject matter there, especially as you know, on platforms like this and Twitter and Facebook, you talk, you reach too many people with that truth, they automatically shut you off. So those are things where if people want truth, they got to go find it for themselves. And of course, that's the alternative media, Rumbles and things like that, BitChute, to where you can actually go hear stuff like that. So, but your average Joe, once again, don't really care much about that now. It's the wind and blowing through. They participated, they got their injection, and some have passed, some have not, and we're still waiting to find out how everything blows up in the end. So, but that is a good point, though.
Well, yeah, this could be to the point where the buyer's remorse gets so violent. I mean, could you imagine being the victim of this democide or your family member or something like that? There's more guns in the United States than Americans.
Yeah, good point. Good point. And I say, like, at this current moment, once you've crossed that threshold, there's no turning back. So I've seen more and more people. I think Dr. Peter McCullough on Twitter, he has a show where he's interviewing people now, as I mentioned that before, about people who have, after they first or second, they woke up, they came to the truth, they realized it wasn't what it was sold to them as, and they, repented, and, now they're trying to get treatment of some kind, if that's possible. But, we're still in the unknown phase, because we truly don't know what the long-term effects of putting that stuff inside your body would do to you. But we're kind of seeing the intentions of what it was meant to do. And it's, millions, if not more people have already, passed on, unfortunately.
Well, one more thing to add with this. In that interview, one of the things that they talk about, and I think you're about my age, so you probably will remember this, is when Tylenol was pulled off the market,
mm-hmm.
that was the result of 8 fatalities. Okay?
Yeah.
Look at how many they have now. They didn't pull this off the market. I mean, it's pretty clear what's going on here. I wrote about this in my book, how when empires are failing, they typically poison the citizens, and that's what's happening.
Right. Yeah. That's the truth, man. I understand you completely, my friend. Hopefully more people, hear shows like you're referring to, as well as all the other stuff out there now, because there's more than enough information out there if you want it. So it's for each and every one to go get it. So appreciate you, man.
Yeah, thank you. Good night, Mike.
Yep, be good,
Thanks
buddy.
for taking my call.
For sure.
Yep, bye.
Yeah, good stuff, man. Appreciate that. All right, let's get this one call here, then we'll get ready to dial back. Didn't want to be on long, just wanted to try to connect in and get that good word out there and see what people are feeling. Let me miss some calls. Forgive me. Yep, give me a call back. Get you on here. Apologize. Also, man, just hearing about the recovery efforts. Hello. Oh, I'm sorry. Give me 1 second. Let me. I gotta pull you back up on my screen. Forgive me. Let me find this call. 1 second. I see you on here. Let me get you on here so I can go to call. Forgive me. All right. What's your name? Where you calling from, my friend?
What's going on, Mike? This is Miles from NY. I'm known as PM Gary.
What's going on, my man? I'm doing well. What's up? What's in your mind?
Everything's good, Mike. Let me ask you a question, right? Because BlackRock had initiated the margin call.
Mm-hmm.
What if there's a war going on behind the scenes with the elitists? That's what I think. And that's why I always kept saying that I don't think they'll succeed, because when you got guys with that big of egos seeking power, it is very hard for them to work together, but only for so long before they start turning on each other. It's like crabs in a barrel, but on the other end of the spectrum, It's like all of them think they are better than the other. So they are going to, at some point, butt heads and go against each other.
Right.
I think that the Fed and BlackRock had some sort of parting at some point. That's why you've seen Jamie Dimon and all the rest of them guys coming out and saying things against the Fed previously in the last couple of months. And what I think happened was today that they initiated a margin call to force the hand of the Bank of England to do a pivot and start putting liquidity back into the market.
Yeah.
That way they could do, and they can profit off of that. They sort of forced their hand, I think, is what they did.
Yeah.
I don't know. You let me know your thoughts, but I think it's a lot going on between each other, and I think that they're fighting in-house between each other. They all got their own end goals of what they want to do.
Yeah.
You know? And I appreciate y'all looking at the channel, Mike. You know, maybe you could take a look at it, something like that. PM Galleria.
For sure.
You know, I'm here for you.
For sure, man.
All right,
Hey, shoot me a direct message in the Telegram. Let's chat. I got an opportunity for you, my friend.
I will. I'll do that, Mike.
But
all right, everybody.
Appreciate you calling, my friend. So that is a great point there. It could be some infeuding between the people who trying to, wrestle their way into control. It's a possibility. I know the BlackRock with Larry Fink and all that whole cabal group. Ultimately, their goal is to have control over everything. So whether or not they're trying to take control over their own counterparts or not, who knows? But it's a possibility. I know that their legacies as well as their institutions could be in jeopardy because they are the ones that packaged up all these financial products that are not doing too well right now. And it's all predicated on whether or not the central banks continue to provide liquidity into the markets. And if there's no liquidity, then there's no growth. There's no way of profiting off of this current system. So either they want this thing to come down so they can usher in that private-public partnership with the World Economic Forum, because BlackRock, Larry Fink, he mentioned the whole ESG movement and all that stuff like that. And so they're still trying to control that angle as well, on top of the trillions needed for this new Green Deal agenda, and as well as all the things they're trying to do for that entity that they're trying to usher into power in Europe. We all know who that person is. But anyway, anything's possible. So I will never count it out. So we have to wait and see how things, play. But the biggest thing is for those who are, as we're waiting to see how this unravels, it's always trying to do as best you can to remove as much of what you stand to lose out of their coffers, i.e., this whole pyramid here. The higher up on all those products, man, even God forbid, even though our housing is important, real estate from an investment standpoint in the future, if they made it clear that you'll own nothing, then they're going to find some way to wiggle out of your possession, whether it be through taxes, through some type of, land forfeiture or, eminent domain. You never know what the government might try to do at the last minute if things get out of hand. So, but we'll have to wait and see, man. I think life will be a lot more simple for a lot of people moving forward if they end up getting their way. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, what's going on, Mike? This is Jimmy from Baltimore.
Jimmy, what's going on, my friend?
Hey, really quick, a few things that I thought about and I've been paying attention to is a lot of us know that when some back in time they had confiscated people's gold and silver.
Mm-hmm.
When I hear a lot of people on YouTube talk about confiscation, I hear them talk about it was confiscated from citizens of the USA.
Right.
But I never, and hopefully I'm using the proper terminology, but I never heard of it being confiscated from like entities. Like, how supposedly the Rothschilds, Bilderbergs, families like that, they're able to own, I've heard that they don't own anything, but they control it. And they control it by not having these things in their names.
Right.
So, I'm also for getting your weight up, but I can see that, they say history doesn't, if it doesn't repeat itself, it rhymes.
Right.
So for me, I see, I want to tell all the listeners that, to look into maybe transferring some of this wealth out of our names into entities, into trust, into private trust, so that if this does happen, there will be, maybe more protected. Because I see how like I've been thinking to myself, why American Silver Eagles more expensive than I don't know, African, anything.
Yeah,
and
else.
I've seen that. Yeah, and I've seen that the denomination on those are $1. So what if this does take place, and somebody like me and you, we have to I don't know, silver goes to $500 or whatever,
Right.
and we have to claim that as income compared to somebody that has a silver eagle and they, claim it as $1.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. So like the face value, the different, like, so whatever the method might be for reinstating gold and silver as some form of medium of exchange, even though it's legal tender as it is now, the nominal gains in fiat terms, or the EUSD or USD, whatever terms we want to price it in the future, the capital gains between what the face value is and what it is you're trying to settle at, how will they treat that? Will it be taxation? Because as always, they're going to rewrite the name. They're going to rewrite the rules of the game to favor them and to punish the actual person who was trying to be a wise steward ahead of time. So how to navigate that? So that's something that, once again, I'm not too familiar with, but I think, like I always say, that whenever they are losing or stand to not have complete control, they usually rewrite the rules. So I can see some type of congressional hearing where they're trying to say gold and silver users and stackers and all that, they're people that's keeping the economy from recovering. And you know how they like to point the blame to somebody who's doing something right, just to make it look like they're doing something bad against America. They're anti-patriots or some crap like that.
Yeah. And just one last thing,
Mhm.
like I'm slightly a fan of crypto,
Mhm.
but me and my cousin was having a talk the other evening, and I'm a man of many perspectives.
Mhm.
A lot of people might not like this, but I could actually see Bitcoin going to zero. Like, own nothing and be happy. Like, what is one going to do if it all just disappears? What is one going to do if they attempt to confiscate your metals? To me, the thing that is the most important is, I believe that food is going to be of a higher value than all of it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
100%. And on that, not just food, but healthy food. Like, you got Bill Gates' corn, what is going to be considered food to some, or insects and bugs in Australia is going to be food to some. But healthy food with nutrients that God gave us from the earth is a whole nother category. That's going to carry a hefty premium, to where a lot of people are going to become food connoisseurs to find out what's fake and what's real out there in the future. So that's something that we don't talk about much now, but it's going to become a field of study where you're going to have your experts in foodology or whatever it's going to be called, to find out what's real. You got two apples there. You're going to have to smell it to see which one is real, which one is from a lab. So yeah.
And just one last thing, really, really quick.
Yeah.
And something that came to my mind the other day is, we hear this great wealth transfer.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna tell you what the wealth transfer is to me, right?
Yeah.
It's not so much. I believe when it happens, you're gonna have a lot of people that have a physical financial wealth transfer. But I believe that the real wealth transfer is the wealth of the mind, the wealth of the spirit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, people actually obtaining this information and learning about the quote unquote cheat codes of how the elites are able to own everything. I mean, own nothing but control everything. And I like, also, like, on a spiritual level, like, I love when you make those shorts about spirituality, because I mean, that's just what was most important, man.
Right.
But keep doing what you're doing, man.
Appreciate you, man.
I appreciate you, man.
Hey, man, appreciate you, my friend. Thanks for calling. Good stuff. And speaking of which, I got a call. Forgive me. Got to get this thought while it's fresh. S400 said bugs actually pack a lot of protein, no doubt. And so that's a part of the selling point from the World Economic Forum and all the people who working to make that possible. But then again, I've done a little something on my side here. And if you look at some of the, so anyway, it's called, I can't really know. It's called Chitin, Chitin. If you look up Chitin, you do some back end research and you do some on the surface research. It's truly untested. And so, like, right now, as we speak, the UK is funding a project inside Africa to determine the short, medium, and long-term side effects on heavy bug protein in diet. So they're feeding African kids right now to see how it impacts their cognitive abilities, their height, their weight, their growth, and their entire body structure. And so here's just something I typed in based upon this word here. Insects contain chitin, which cannot be processed by the human gut. So chitin is it's like a part of the wall shell of bugs, whatever kind of bug it is. All bugs have chitin in it. And apparently, according to some people, you take of it what you may. Some people say the body is not made to digest chitin because it causes inflammation in the gut and all types of not so good long-term side effects. And so this is a major ingredient in bug protein. So once again, if the World Economic Forum said it's good for you, then you might have to question the short and long-term effects of what that stuff would do to you. So that's why I personally would not willingly go out and have a bug shake to save a couple dollars. So that's just, a little bit of homework on my side. So, but anyway, keep it going. Crickets on a stick. Yeah. All right. So let's get this last call. Then we'll dial back. Let me get this here. Hello, caller. Where you calling from?
Hey, this is Big Dutch, South Carolina.
What's up, my friend? How you doing? What's on your mind?
Good. Hey, kind of scatterbrained right now. I really didn't expect to get you on the phone.
It's all good, man.
Hey, just want to say, absolutely love your show. Found it by accident through Alaskan Prepper.
Mm-hmm.
Very good content. Love the biblical aspect as well.
Appreciate you.
The earlier caller talked about putting things in like a LLC or a trust, and I kind of wanted to get your opinion on that.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've been leaning towards that myself,
mm-hmm.
but at the same time, the way I feel is anything that's put on paper is traceable.
That is true. Very true.
So kind of wanted, somebody in my humble position, I do, to be honest with you, I've cleared out my IRA
mm-hmm.
and I'm allowed under my company's plan. I'm clearing out half of my 401k
mm-hmm.
as a loan.
Mm-hmm.
So it won't be taxable. I'm paying myself back at 6% interest,
mm-hmm.
and I'm taking that money and I'm buying gold and silver.
Right.
Physical gold and silver, putting it in my safe.
Right.
So kind of wanted to get your take on that as far as I have some assets. My house is paid for. I'm on paid for family land. I have no mortgage. I have 3 vehicles, 2 of which are paid for.
Mm-hmm.
I've kind of been thinking about, I'm 38 years old. My parents are pushing 70. They're both retired. Everything they own is paid for. I'm kind of just wondering, with all this 87,000 IRS agents
mm-hmm.
that they're talking about, the fact that my parents live off of savings
mm-hmm.
and my dad has a government pension,
yeah,
which I'm worried about him losing. Do you think that I should maybe possibly put some assets in their name? And part of the reason that I ask that is because I'm August 12th was a year that my wife left me.
Mm-hmm.
Divorce is not final yet.
Mm-hmm.
And I just don't want anything to go through the court system to get put on the federal government's radar,
mm-hmm.
and I lose assets.
Okay, so that's a lot that you unpacked right there. And a lot of that would probably be considered advice. And so I can share my opinion based upon a little bit of what I was able to decipher there. So clearly, what's going on. You have a good grasp as to, trying to take possession of things that you believe are yours, which you've worked hard for, and put it in things that you can control outright. So to your first point about the LLC or the trust, so the LLC is more geared towards, the business structure that you could utilize. And then with that comes a lot of incentives and tax opportunities there if you're, self-employed or and have a small business or something like that. So that's one method you can use if that's for you. And then on the other side, irrevocable trust. TB just mentioned here in the chat here, that's something else to look into. That was designed to be somewhat of a shelter for your assets. Now, in times past, everything has worked extremely well. But then again, that type of entity was designed for the uber wealthy. So, those people can probably get away with that. But if too many people call themselves trying to take back their own and also utilize those same type of shelters to hide or to just protect themselves, I would suspect that they would change the rules of the game. Like that would be my I was a guess that they would do that. If more people wake up in time to start shielding themselves, they would find some way to still try to have people lose those assets in some capacity. So it's once again, it's a hard decision. It's a hard answer to give, just because we're entering into what could be unknown, uncharted waters, to where the practical thing could be to do all that. But then again, you never know until we get there as to how they're going to respect that legally, lawfully. You know what I'm saying? Because if they made it clear you own nothing and be happy with it, that's their model, meaning that all governments and private entities are working to that. Then once again, they'll probably find a way to have people lose all those entities and things of that nature they try to come up with. So that's just my guess. But as far as like trying to put things in your parents' name and stuff like that, that morally speaking, that's not something that I feel comfortable with in my gut to really encourage that. But once again, like I don't know, from a spiritual standpoint, because that's I ain't gonna say it's cheating, but it doesn't just sit right with me personally. So for whatever that's worth, just because that's not being on the up and up in my opinion. So I hope that was somewhat of a help of some kind. But also check out the chat, because people are giving it their opinions as well. So that's just my initial thoughts based upon what I heard from this short call.
No, I really appreciate that input, because that's kind of the way my gut's been leaning me, is that's why I haven't done it. One of the vehicles that I own, I actually paid cash from my dad. And my dad, I know that's a term that's loosely thrown around nowadays, but he's ordained. He's retired, but he lives it. If there was ever a man of God that I've ever met in my life, it is my dad. Right.
And so that car you're referring to, just, give it back to your dad. It still belongs to you, but give it back to your dad.
And that's I don't know. And I'm not scared of what the future holds. Right. I know my dad, what he tells me all the time is, you can't predict the future. You can't be afraid of it, but you can mitigate the risks. Yeah. As far as, prepping for, food, water, shelter, we're good. And we always try to put enough back that we can minister to other people. One of the reasons why my dad is retired, he was the associate pastor at their church, and that was kind of his calling, that they wanted to stockpile for people in need, and the rest of the church didn't feel that way, and it ended up, parting ways. But no, I appreciate that input on that, because it's kind of been a moral dilemma. The other thing is, I don't want to take up too much of your time, but on the CBDC, right, mark of the beast. I mean, now that things are starting to get laid out pretty much in the open, and you compare it to Revelation, I mean, we're there, bro. I mean, when it talks about the mark, I don't know, pre-trib, post-trib, mid-trib, whatever your inkling is. Right. At the end of the day, to me, I look at it and I go, my God will provide. But my God gave me a brain. Right. And I am supposed to love Jesus and love others. So that's why I try to put back to take care of my family and take care of others. Right. So with that being said, on the financial side, the mark of the beast, whatever form that comes in, you will not be able to buy or sell without it. Gold or silver, the way it's looking right now, CBDC is kind of looking like that's what it's going to be. Right. Do you kind of feel in your heart of hearts that there's going to be a group of people that kind of are like-minded, that will be willing to barter and trade with gold and silver services, and now take into account, I know you live in Detroit. I've been through Detroit years ago. So I mean, I've been all over the world. I know big cities. I live in rural upstate South Carolina, base of the mountains. I mean, I'm very blessed to live here, is the way I feel. Right. It's good. So maybe my situation might be different than people in big cities, but just wanted to get your opinion on that, and I'll hang up.
All right, well, I'll answer it off air. So I appreciate the call, my friend. Thank you for sharing that, and definitely, pray on that, before you do anything. Give it to the Lord, and hopefully you be guided, and have peace in your heart with whatever decision you do make.
Yes, sir. Thank you
Appreciate
very
you,
much.
man. Yep.
Bye.
All right, man. Great call, great questions there. So as always, for those who had a chance to listen to that, feel free to share your opinion in the chat as well. And so hopefully the caller can get some different opinions, just because there's power in numbers as far as being able to get advice or information. So anyway, CBDCs, definitely CBDCs are a part of their game plan. There's 90-something countries working on it, so that is something they want to execute. Will it work? Who knows? But that's a part of the agenda of going solely digital. We know that's coming. We're predominantly digital now. And so it seems only natural that that'll be the next event that will come after everything melts down. They're going to try to build it back up via digital, crypto or blockchain, whatever they're going to try to label it to sell it to people. So yes, I think it is going to come. It is what it is. And as far as the market of beast, stuff like that, there is a sequence of events that take place leading up to the actual requirement for people to make that choice as to whether or not they're going to partake in receiving that mark. And biblically speaking, that's during the tribulation, halfway through that 7-year time frame. So that means if the abomination of desolation takes place, where the Antichrist, claims to be God, and from that moment on is the false prophet, then requires everyone to receive a mark in worship of the beast itself. That time frame only lasts, biblically speaking, 3 years, give or take. So the first 3 years, there's going to be so much calamity. And so just off the top of my head, this is stuff I'm studying, eschatology, we have the 7 seals, then the 7 trumpets, then the 7 bowls. And so the first 4 or 5 seals are open first. And that's the first 3-year time frame of which there's going to be the Antichrist will be revealed. He's going to be a peacemaker at first. The temple will be reinstated for sure. So that stuff they're working on right now. And then from that, the second horse is peace will be removed. There's going to be a major war. The third will be a famine. Then the fourth is death and martyrs of the actual church, the new converts that will be brought about from the 144 I'm talking about. Anyway, so long story short, the market of the beast comes well into all the other events that take place. So I think we'll have a better understanding of what's actually going down to be able to determine whether or not that is the actual mark or not. But all this technology that I think is being developed and worked out is in preparation for that, sure. But it's my suspicion we still have some time. And by the way, I'm a pre-tribulation believer, believing that the actual body of Christ, like every other prior cataclysmic event, was always saved from the day of reckoning. So my personal opinion is that I hoped to not be here, but then if I am, that's why I'm making sure that I understand the time frames and the sequence of events so that I can be of use to God to actually be a witness in the midst of all that stuff. So long story short, I think there'll be a lot of signs that people will know. That's why it's important to really dive deep into Revelations, because we can understand a lot better how things unfold. So, but anyway, so hope that helped a little bit. But once again, if you accept the mark, there is no repentance. There is no turning back. You've sealed your fate for eternity, and you will suffer the consequences of Satan and all his henchmen as well. So that's really important as well. But anyway, so man, what an interesting live stream tonight. So back at it tomorrow, same time, same place. You know what time it is. If you've enjoyed this back and forth and the calls as well as the chat, definitely tell a friend, invite a friend, and hit that thumbs up button on your way out. Show your boy some love, and we'll be back at it tomorrow. Anyway, let's close out with a little bit of prayer. I think it's something that can be beneficial for all of us. We all need to be strengthened in our inner man at this current moment. And so if you're a believer, definitely I'd love for you to get in agreement with me. And if you're not, stick around as well, just because just your presence alone, hopefully the Holy Spirit is able to move in your behalf and bring you on into the family. So anyway, Heavenly Father, we thank you for the opportunity to gather tonight at looks like 10:36 right now, and to lift up the name of Jesus Christ, the name that is above all names, the name that, every knee will bow and every knee will confess that he is Lord. Father, we just thank you for the opportunity to be able to talk about you freely on the air and to just give you props for all that you have done, all the blessings you've poured upon your people, as well as the opportunity to receive your spirit through faith in your son, and just being grateful for the blood that was shed for our sins so that we can avoid eternal separation from you, Father. Lord, we just thank you for everything. Continue to watch over and bless each and every individual who's tuning in right now. Bless the works of their hands, bless their household, allow them to be lights that shine bright in this dark world, and allow them to bring in more members to your family, Father, because you want a nice big family for the life to come on the new earth when New Jerusalem comes on down and you build this thing again. But anyway, be blessed, be safe, and we do it all in the name of Jesus Christ, the King of Kings. Amen. All right, people, that's all she wrote. Be blessed, be safe. Back at it tomorrow. Peace.
Here's a great opportunity for you to get your weight up. Let's face it, our purchasing power